Hey guys, we've got another episode of Exposure with SoCal Home Photo. And today I've got a contractor, Julian Bedoya, with Master Design Construction. Julian, how you doing today?
Good, good. It's great to be here. Thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool to have you here. I don't think we've really talked too much about ADUs yet, but that is kind of your specialty. But let's jump in. What inspired you to become a general contractor, and how did you get into specializing in ADUs?
So, Rick, I'm a third generation carpenter. That's how I started in the trades, custom carpentry and all of that stuff, custom kitchens, walk-in closets, and all of that. And so I started learning along the way all the other trades, and I started liking. I always like building new things, and so ADUs is always a new build or building a new space in a garage conversion. So as I kept on learning, got my credentials, got my license, got the experience, and then I started my own business.
Awesome. And how long have you been swinging a hammer?
So I have been in the trades going on 14 years, with my own business going on 7.
Nice, nice. So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions homeowners have about building an ADU?
So the misconceptions is that Uncle Juan can actually make it and it'll make it just as the same as we would, no problems and way cheaper. So that is one of the biggest misconceptions. In construction, there is always you always gotta have the damn budget. So that is one of the biggest misconceptions that a homeowner can actually just build it without being on the trades. Just someone who's pretty handy with tools and knows how to fix stuff in the house. And then they think that they can actually build it. When it comes down to inspections and following construction code, that's when they realize, oops, we need a contractor. So that is this, in my opinion, one of the biggest.
Okay. Now, have you come into that where you come in and you'd save people? Is that
Yes, yes. So in fact, we actually had to get a project out of the trenches, out of drowning, out of being demolished completely because it was built not compliant. It wasn't compliant. It was a structure. The structure was not going to last 3 years. And so the inspector was actually calling for a jeopardy inspector so that the jeopardy inspector would approve a demolition. And so here's the thing, since we are already involved in the project, the homeowner calls us and the homeowner says, hey, I want you to come and take a look at this. We want to bring it up to code. So we're already involved. Our license is already involved. If we come to an agreement and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to charge you this much to do this, we're already involved. So then a jeopardy inspector or a city inspector is going to come and tell us, you know what? Nope, I don't care what you say. You're going to have to demolish this place. And we will have to do it whether the homeowner wants us to do it or not. So I was actually glad that we were able to help a homeowner bring a structure up to code so that it didn't have to be demolished again and they would lose all that time and all that money. And it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. They were very thankful. They learned the hard way, I guess, but I'm glad that they didn't go all the way through with it where they would be almost done and then having to demolish it.
wow? Yeah, and I guess word to the wise, don't start your project without a contractor because you don't want to
Yeah,
risk being able to be saved or not being able to be saved, right? That was probably more
yeah,
the
correct.
exception to the rule than the rule itself, I would imagine.
That is right. That is right. There's a lot of people who is and they also think that because you go and you buy some of the material to Home Depot, that you already know what's needed.
Yeah.
So
Come on over. We got all the parts. Just put it together for us.
right, or give us a quote just on the labor. We'll give you all the material. You let us know what you need. We'll provide the material. Okay, but then there's a difference between me or our guys going for material every day, creating a list and already made our set of mistakes in the past that we know what material is gonna work, what's not gonna work, how much of it we're actually gonna need based on cuts and waste material. That there is always waste material, and so a lot of people think that if there is a square footage that's the exact amount of material you get. But that is always wrong. You always need to up it maybe 12%, 14% more for cuts and waste material.
Sure. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. With California's housing crisis, ADUs are becoming more popular. What are the biggest benefits of adding one to a property?
Primarily is the square footage, the living square footage. More living square footage. You're helping with the prices, with the living prices in California. And then second to that would be the passive income. You can actually build an ADU. It's gonna be anywhere from like 250,000 to, I don't know. You can set the limit depending on how nice you want it. Uh, but then that's gonna give you a passive income every month for that rent, and your home will actually go up in value as well. So you're pretty much killing three birds with a single stone. You build an ADU, you create passive income, you raise the square footage of your home. It's more appealing for buyers, and you're making passive income.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the big new catchphrase is multi-generational living. And it's just because our kids might not be able to afford to buy in California, right? So I think putting them in the yard or building an ADU helps with future generations as well if you're not renting it out.
Yeah,
For sure.
right. I mean, at the end of the day, Rick, let's just say that you decide that your kids are going to be, or yourself, you're going to move to the ADU. You're going to build a little bit nicer for you and your spouse, and you're going to live in that space. Let's say that the kids do move out. Let's say that they go out to, I don't know, university, they get married, they get their own thing, why not rent the front home for a bigger buck and then live in a pretty comfortable, cozy space with your spouse in your own property?
No, absolutely. And the overhead's much cheaper on a smaller place than, 1,200 square feet versus what we're in. We're in almost 3,000 square feet.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some key factors homeowners should consider before starting an ADU project?
So first, what I call it is kind of like a diagnosis consultation. We provide those consultations for free. We go and we visit your site. We tell you what we see. And then from that point on, you have a more truthful way or a realistic way to think about your ADU, a more realistic idea of what you can do, what you cannot do, if your dream ADU is actually possible or not, and so on and so forth. So that is actually I always suggest there is no contractor who is going to bind you in a contract just for going to see a project. And if they want to do that, then you don't need that contract. So get someone out there, get a second opinion or even a third opinion from another contractor. You're going to have a better idea on the budget, on the whole logistics of the project, the space that you should use for the ADU. Sometimes we want to have it in a place and it would really work better in a different place. So the first consultations are actually eye-opening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we should add that a good contractor, one, isn't going to pressure you into anything and understands that this is a major purchase for people. And they understand that, I mean, it could be 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road before a homeowner actually pulls the trigger on it, right? This is
I mean, some homeowners are, yes. Some homeowners are ready. They've done their due diligence. They might be in the trades. I have actually built an ADU for a gentleman who is a framer in the past. So even though he is in the trades, he knows how to frame the whole place. He still knew, and he knew friends. He knew friends in electricians. He knew plumbers. Because once you're in the trades, you meet a lot of people in the trades, in different trades.
Yeah, absolutely.
So even though he is in the same field, he said, you know what? I'd rather have a general contractor foresee what I can't see, what I do not know. And that was a pretty smart move by that gentleman because he stayed there the whole time with us. trying to learn, of course, and paying attention to his own project. And so at the end, he said, I am glad that I hired a general contractor, that I hired you guys, because you guys cut up to a lot of things and prevented a lot of things before I even noticed them. I would have noticed them later. And so that was going to cost me time and money. So I am glad that I did it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes perfect sense, actually. Can you share a memorable or challenging ADU project that you've worked on and how you overcame obstacles?
So a pretty tough ADU, and it wasn't tough. It's just more steps to take. It was an ADU that was actually built at a grade that was lower than the street and the sewer level. So what we needed to do was the only thing that changes is the plumbing and setting up a pump for the sewer to just pump all of the drain waste material water into the sewer that was at a higher level. It was kind of like a lower grade, so we needed to pump it all the way up to where the street level was. So that took a little bit longer. It raised the budget, of course, because those are not quite common and are not cheap, but they're pretty straightforward too. Is you just gotta work with the right plumber so that they know what type of pump to install, and then after that is installed and everything is gonna run normal, the ADU keeps going quite normal. But then the construction code interpretation by a city inspector can vary because it's a lot of things are actually open for interpretation. So if a city inspector who follows the code is very strict about the construction code, even though sometimes the code can be a little bit off. I'll give you an example. There was an ADU that we were building and we have a massive beam because the homeowner wanted an open space. So we had a massive beam from side to side to support the whole structure. And the inspector would not would not sign on our framing because we were doing it right, but not up to code. The code said to do ABC, and when that was not gonna last, that was older code that was not gonna work that well. And so we did it in another way that reinforced the structure better, but he was very adamant about it. So what we ended up doing is making the correction that he wanted. And I might be shooting myself on the foot here, but we made the correction that he wanted. We got the signature for the approval, and with the approval of the homeowner, we corrected it back to what it was and continued with the project because we knew, even the engineer said, that is not going to last 10 years. So the engineer approved it just by word, just by looking at it and wording it out. He says, yes, your idea is right. So we actually took a little bit of a risk. And then after we realized that the construction code was actually updated to something similar to that. So we were happy we actually made that decision.
So the code was updated after the fact?
Yes, because I was actually going to install another beam on another project, not an ADU. Same thing. The homeowner wanted to remove some walls inside the house and wanted an open space concept. So I knew that it was gonna be hard. So then again, we built it the way the inspector wanted it so that we could pass inspection, knowing that we were going to change it, but we didn't get approved because the new inspector that showed up said, hey, that code just changed. It was updated, so I need you to do it this way. So, okay, that's fine. We were going to change it anyways, we thought, right? So we changed it, we called for the signature, and we got it approved. But that was a little bit tricky.
Interesting. Okay, so on a personal note, when you're not building, what do you enjoy doing in your free time?
It's right there.
Yeah.
I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. I love motorcycles. I ride ever since I was like 7 years old. I love the two wheels and riding my bike.
You ever do any track days, or is it mostly like canyons?
So I actually sold my sport bike. Right now I have a touring bike. I do still go to the canyons on my touring bike. Yeah, I have a BMW GSA 1250.
Nice. That is a cruiser, huh?
Yeah. It's a very comfortable bike, but I miss my sport bike. hopefully soon I'll get to buy another one.
Yeah, I used to do track days in the Mustang out in at the Fontana Speedway. It was a lot of
Oh,
fun, but
nice.
man, it's so expensive. You do one track
It's an
day,
expensive hobby.
you do one track day, you got to get all new brakes, then you got to get new tires. It's not just the track fee, man. It's insane.
Correct.
And of course, now Speedway's gone, so we got to go to like Willow
Yeah.
Springs or something like that instead. But it's nice
Right.
not looking over your shoulder when you're.
Yes. Yes. Or worrying about upcoming traffic going over the line or something like that. Yeah. So did you ever get a chance to go to Chakwala
No,
in Chakwala Valley?
no, but it's still there, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah, I know they do events. They do events there still.
Yes.
I was what the heck was the name? Speed Venture was the name of the company that I used to do track.
Yes, that's for cars. Yeah, that's for cars.
Yeah.
I usually use so-called track days or track days for the motorcycles, but it's been a few years since I've been to a track day. But yeah, we used to go to track days, and it's a very expensive. We actually became really good friends with this pro rider, Josh Hayes, and I'm sorry, Josh Herring. And so whenever he would be practicing, his take-ups, meaning the tires that he would use at practice that they still had maybe like 50%, 60%, we would buy them very cheap off of him. And so those are the tires that we would track tires that we would use whenever we would go.
Yeah, I know there's a company, I think they're out of they're in the South over on the East Coast that sells track tires for cars like that. Stuff that's, was used for practice or
Yeah,
because after
yeah,
a certain
even sometimes
percentage, they
just a few laps and they change them.
yeah, they don't want to mess with it, right? Yeah. Yeah, I considered that. I'm actually considering like switching over to like autocross, something that's a little less wear and tear on the vehicle and still get out there and compete a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I love speed. I have a friend of mine that is pretty well off, and he's had Vipers, Corvettes CO6, Lamborghinis, McLaren. So I have gone to the track with him, and speed itself is just a lot of fun. The engines revving, the speed on the turns, knowing how to take a turn. Racing is something else. It's not like going fast on the street. When I see people on the street just going and revving, it's like, ah, come on, go to the track.
Well, yeah, and you're at some point you're gonna hurt somebody or you can hurt somebody. Right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was something about out at Fontana. I remember the first time getting on there and coming into that straight, and I was doing about 120 before I hit the bank turn, and
Mhm.
didn't have track tires, don't really have any kind of downforce, and man, that centrifugal force just pushing you up into the wall. I was like, man, I'm not hitting this turn at 120 ever again. There's no way. So
Yeah, on the motorcycle, you can actually you can be up to like 140, 150 on that straight, and yeah, it keeps on pushing you to the wall. However, professionals and like more advanced riders, they said there is a distance, there is a place in the distance that the wind itself, the force stops pushing you and it helps you to go faster, but it's really, really close to the wall. So not a lot of people are experienced enough to do it.
interesting. And that's
Yeah.
on a bike.
On a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. On a bike.
Yeah, if I had more downforce, I definitely could have taken it faster, but look,
Mhm.
I'm fast enough. I don't have to be.
Exactly. We don't do that for a living. It's what I tell guys. I'll tell you as much as this. When I go riding, there's a lot of new riders. There's a lot of safe riders and a lot of like just clowns, right? The ones that are revving the bike, showing off, flashy colors, blah, blah, blah.
The guys that do wheelies on the freeway, those guys.
Exactly. I do not like that because then we get judged. All of us get judged with the same ruler, just measure with the same ruler just because we ride a bike. So there is a gas station, a Shell station right down the two highway in La Crescenta where almost everybody just meets, gets gas, and then keeps going up to the canyons. So I have seen groups of those type of clowns, they take off maybe 1-2 minutes, and on my bike, I am able to catch them. On my BMW GSA, I am able to catch them, and they are on sports bikes. When I start passing them and I tell them up there, it's like, you guys are killing the hobby for us. You guys making a lot of noise on the way up here, making it unsafe for everyone. And some of us just want to come and enjoy the road at the speed level that you are able to handle. And I'm passing you guys on a touring bike. So I always tell them, go to a track. You're going to learn so much more. Go to a track.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, dude. Well, hey, it was a cool chat. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. If people want to contact you, where can they find you?
So my direct line is actually, my phone number is 909-565-2500. And our website is masterdesignconstruction.com. So they can contact me directly on that number. Those who are going to listen to your podcast and they want to contact me directly, that'll be fine. And my email is julian@masterdesignconstruction.com.
Do you have an Instagram page too?
My Instagram is masterdesignconstruction.com.
Okay, perfect. We'll obviously get all that in the description as well and with our posts. So yeah, man, once again, thanks for coming on. I really
thank you for the invite. Thank you for having me. You have a good one, Rick.
You too, man, and stay safe on the roads, carving it up.
We should ride together sometime.
Okay, dude. I'll talk to you later.
All right.